this is going to be real quick, but I'm talking about, they call them EVs, electric vehicles. Actually, they're battery operated vehicles. They're battery trucks or cars. They're battery vehicles. That's what they are. They're BVs. They're battery vehicles. And that just a quick example. So growing up, I had remote control cars, remote control trucks. That's battery operated. The remote itself had batteries in it, and the truck or the car itself had batteries in it, or a battery in it. And then as long as they're charged or they're new or whatever, you could use your remote and drive this battery operated car or truck around on your driveway or down the road or whatever. That kind of stuff. That's battery operated car. So also when I was young, I had electric cars that I played with. Electric cars. And what those were their slot cars. Those are the cars that the tracks plugged into the wall, and then the cars went on the track and they ran by the electricity. Those were electric cars. That's a big difference. I had played with battery operated cars and trucks, and I played with electric cars and trucks. That's plain and simple. That's a huge divide. There's a huge difference there. So why am I saying this? Well, because it's about changing language. It's about changing the way people view things and think of things. And they do it so slightly, or they just do it over time until all of a sudden that becomes a norm. So this is going from gasoline, power, freedom, no limits. Basically, that's what these gas vehicles are. I mean combustion engine vehicles. It's power, freedom, and no limits. That's it. Plain and simple. Like it's always been, as far as I know, in my lifetime. So they want to change from that to rely to, they call them electric vehicles, which they're not. I just showed you that. To these battery operated vehicles, these battery operated cars and trucks. They want to do that, which in return limits your freedom. It limits the distance you can drive. It limits the time you have, because if you have to charge it, you can only go so far, then you have to charge it, and then you have to sit around until it's charged. You can't just keep continuing to go. You just can't continue on your way. No, you're stopped. You're halted. There's areas that you can't reach to because of that. There's areas that are not going to have the charging capabilities there at all. And I'm not talking just right away. I'm not talking just to start this initial start of them trying to do this. There's going to be a lot. When it first starts like that, back like when the cell phone or mobile phone started, there was few places or few phone companies that you could have where you could drive 100 miles out and still be able to connect. I mean, that was a real issue back then. A real issue. What, 20 years ago? 25 years ago? That was a real issue. And that's what it's going to be like when this starts out. There's going to be places like that. But after all that's ironed out, after all that's good, today there are still places that you go and your cell phone does not work. There will be places where you could go and you cannot use your battery operated vehicle for whatever reason. You may get there, but you're not getting back. You may get there, but you can't get it fixed if something happens. I mean, that's just what I'm talking about. Or you may not even be able to make it there just because of the distance or the train or whatever it is. That's real. It's going to happen. So the reason they're doing this is just like the reason they changed from us being on gold and silver, which is in the Constitution and the Bible, as the only forms of money. In the Constitution, the only state should be using gold and silver as a form of money. That's in the Constitution. But that doesn't matter because they don't care. And that changed, over 100 years ago. Now it was this paper stuff, but it was backed by gold, right? So then comes the 30s, then it was not backed by gold as much, and then comes to 71 when all of a sudden now it's not backed by gold at all. When Nixon took us completely off, August 15th, 1971. And since then it's been nothing but paper. It's fiat. That's all. It's not backed by anything. Not backed by a thing. So something that was real, had real value to it, had a real use case to it, that people used for trade and barter and currency. Now, all the way up to, we've been using something that has no real use value, has no real use cases to it, has nothing. It's just this paper or these digits now that people have been using quite a while, and now they want to put us fully on CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. So there's no cash whatsoever, cashless society, and get us into that. So then we're not even holding these pieces of paper. I mean, that's what we're going to be pushed to. So that's how that happened. Well, it's the same thing that was happening with the vehicles. We had something, and we still have something that gives you power. It has power. It gives you freedom. There's no limits to it, for the most part. They're turning us to something that has limits to it. You're stopped. You have to have a third-party interaction so much more than you do now. It limits your distances. It limits what you can do. That limits your freedom. Well, if you have any freedom limited, in my opinion, that's not freedom at all. So it takes away your freedom. It takes away your freedom. These battery vehicles take away your freedom. But that's what they're doing. And then they want their answer are these 15-minute cities, and the public transit and whatever else it is. I mean, it's just, don't worry. It's for your safety. It's for your benefit. That's what they're doing. But anyways, I said it'd be a quick video. That's what I have to say. As always, thanks for watching. Stay vigilant. So.